I get a lot of clients that come to me and they're starting out on their property journeys. They need advice on mortgages and blah, blah, blah. And, I try and get really involved with my clients and actually really find out long term what their plans are doing, because that actually impacts on the type of advice that I give them as well.
Yeah.
And I always ask them, what's the purpose of doing this? What are you trying to aim to do? What's your, when does it become a point where you feel you've been successful? And it's amazing how many of those people give me a figure. Oh, once I've got a net income of 10 grand a month. That seems to be the one. It's always 10 grand a month. Everyone apparently can live their life at 10 grand a month.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. 10 grand's a number.
It's always 10 grand a month. But I really like strip it back and go like, no, but what does that mean to you? Why is that? Why is 10 grand a month? Do you know what your income and expenditure is? And by the time, sometimes that can take me half an hour to really get all the way back to the reason why. And when you actually then get right down to the nitty gritty, like you say, when you're focused and you've got it, it's those shit times where you don't want to be doing it. And then you have to remember, because 10 grand a month is not going to drive you forward. It's the non-for-profit. It's the doing it because, your dads are looking down on you and they're going to be proud. So I'm really glad that you mentioned it, because obviously it's something that it sounds like you're pretty passionate about.
Yeah. I mean, from experience, I think, first of all, when we talk about the money and people putting figures on things, I think there is a certain amount of money that makes life easier. But no matter how much money you make, if you're just chasing money, I completely agree with you. You're never going to be happy. And when I actually lost sight of this and was chasing money for a bit, and I honestly, there was 2 years where probably not the year just gone, but when I started to make the jump in salary for what property can provide, the first couple of years, I was just a young guy chasing money. And I realized that I was actually unhappier in the 2 years that I'd made the most money I'd ever made in my life, probably triple, quadruple what I used to earn. And I was no happier. But then when I started to think about my father and Alex's dad and what the company was about, then I started to feel a bit happier. Because once your monthly salary goes up, so do your expenses. And I found that, as opposed to when I went to the pub or a restaurant, I'd normally budget sort of, I don't know, 25, 30 quid. I just spent 100, and because there was no budget. So, it was like I was still doing the same things, but I just didn't feel any richer because I wasn't really channeling it into the why at that point. And the why can sometimes take a little while to figure out, but yeah, I agree. It's important. And the reason it's important is because when times get tough, if you don't have a why, that's when you quit. When now it's not about the money, it's about being able to play golf every day when I want. It's about establishing a legacy for my fathers and really just providing myself and my family and the people close to me with something that I was never able to have. And it's about the freedom and having choice. And that's what I have to remind myself when it gets tough, because chasing a figure, I can tell you, the more you start to earn, if you're just chasing it, like I said, I don't think it makes you any happier. Personally.
Yeah, and it's surprising as well, I think, that you mentioned a couple of things there. I want to be able to do this, that, go and play golf on an afternoon, whatever it might be. It actually, there is an element of a monetary side of that, but it's also time and freedom, like you say. But people also, I think a lot of this kind of made up goal of 10 grand a month, whatever it's going to be, actually comes off the back of a complete naivety to what actually constitutes you being able to live that daily, weekly, monthly life that would make you happy. And actually, a lot of the time, the figure that you would need in order to have that life that you want is a lot lower than people think. Definitely a lot lower than 10 grand a month for most people. It's only when you then sort of factor in, okay, well, I want to live in a bigger house, I want a nicer car, whatever that kind of thing is. But to actually get to that initial stage where you've reached an element of success and you can start living the life that you want to now, actually probably takes people a lot less time than they would think, because the financial aspect of it probably isn't as draining as they would have thought.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, our financial freedom figure when we first started was 2 grand a month. And that literally, I'm a single bloke. When we first got into property, that was literally the amount that I thought that I needed. And I earned a lot more at my corporate job at the time. But once I achieved that made me a lot happier than the money. Because, you mentioned the freedom and the choice and the time there, and I brushed upon that. I think that's what's more important to people than what I believe than the money.
Yeah, because I
or
remember
the majority
seeing,
of people.
I saw a post that you put on your Instagram page, which is, remind me if I did actually get this right, but it's you, like you're in a suit and you're looking really happy, and that was like the moment that you reached that initial figure, wasn't it? And then you could give up the corporate job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but did, I suppose, like you say, to reach that sort of element, to get that independence, to be able to do that, there is a monetary figure attached to that. But how did that feel when you actually achieved that? Because I suppose so many people that are probably going to be listening to this are chasing that same day when they can turn around and sack their boss, basically.
Unbelievable. Like you sort of, it becomes one of those things that you almost, you know it's going to happen because you're doing everything in your power to make it happen, but it's a day that you just dream about. And it's a day that really, you know that you're safe. And there's a huge sense of achievement and feeling of gratitude to that. The fact that I know that my property portfolio, no matter what I'm doing, how sick I am, if I need to just stop working and attend to something important in my life, that will cover me forever. And that makes you feel powerful, and that makes me feel happy, you know?
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. There is still a monetary value to it. And I think money buys comfort, and it allows you to pursue your dreams and your goals. This is passive income, of course, because you could be on this 10 grand a month, but if you're in a sort of a paycheck to paycheck hamster wheel type of life, and you haven't made any investments, and you know that you're on the clock all the time, then as soon as that gets taken away, you know, and nothing's coming in, then that's still quite a vulnerable position. So, you know, us earning 2 grand a month wasn't this 10 grand big milestone, but it was more than that. It was the freedom. And then obviously it gets addictive and you start building on it and things happen. But, you know, it's, to go back to your question, all we needed was 2K. We didn't need 10.
Yeah.
But I think if you get 10, then great. You know, that it opens the door to more opportunities. But I think really people need to change their whole mindset around money in general and what it can do for them. If they need 10 grand a month to go and buy a load of material things and holidays, and it's not going to leave them in any better position.
Yeah. I think this is something that I've certainly learned myself over the last probably 5 years or so since I started. You know, my life changed, and that's not, it genuinely isn't an overstatement. When I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I just kind of went, oh shit, hang on a second, life should be a lot different, and the way I'm thinking about things should be a lot different. But you're absolutely right in what you were saying about, you know, going out buying material things, and I think that comes down to just worrying too much maybe about what other people perceive of you.
Yeah.
And actually, it's probably not the most important thing. What people really close to you, you know, wives, husbands, girlfriends, family members, whatever, yeah, quite important. But actually, the wider public, does it really matter if you're driving down Hemel High Street in a Lambo or a Fiesta? You know, does that change your life too much?
Do you care what people that you don't know think? No, well, you shouldn't. And have you ever given a shit if one of your close friends has got? No, it's more about if they're there for you, how much of a fun time you have with them, the memories that you create. I don't give a shit if one of my friends has got a Rolex or a Ferrari or whatever. Great for them if they work hard and it makes them feel happy. But going to that point, if people are buying stuff just to please other people, then that's already a bad road to go down.
Yeah. Do you know, a lot of that kind of thing changed for me as well when I read 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. When
that was my first ever audio book, actually. That
was
book.
It?
I was working. I just got back from skiing. I was working in London, and I used to listen to that on the train all the way in. That was the first sort of big personal development one I saw. It's a good book.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think that, again, that changes your mindset because it becomes less about the value of money and actually more the value of time. And if you can create a smaller pocket window where you're earning that cash, but it carries on, you know, for a longer period of time, over a month, a quarter, whatever it might be, then and it gives you the time to be able to go and accumulate experiences, which ultimately is what you remember. You know, you don't sit here now and go, oh, I remember when I got that really good bonus at work, you know, and I got 10 grand in a month as a bonus or whatever it might be. You actually probably think about, you might remember that time in your life, but it's probably what that money bought you, the actual experience.
Yeah.
that is something that you remember. And I think that's something that a lot of people forget.
Agreed. And actually, Sam, I don't think there's anything wrong with material things if
No.
you do it for you, if you do it for yourself. So I have always enjoyed buying nice things for myself, to be honest. I've toned right down as I've become more sensible with money. It's weird. When I was a little kid and I couldn't afford it, I'd spend my whole paycheck on a fucking Gucci belt, you know, and that would make me happy. But now it's different. But I do it as a trophy. So it's like, what if I buy something material, it is not on impulse. It is not from a whim. It's not just because I'm in London for the day and I've got the money in the bank. It'll be right. I want this thing because this represents all of the hard work I did for that period in my life, for that project, whatever it is I'm doing at the time. That's how I would treat material things. And I think that's how they should be treated. You know, if you buy that Rolex is the watch, I think, for guys, especially, that gets brought up all the time.
Yeah.
It's sort of that first sort of, oh, he's got a Rolex sort of thing. You know, if you get one, for me, it's like every time I look at it, I want it to make me feel happy because it reminds me of that time where I did my first flip and made X amount, or, you know, that's why I think expensive material things, I think that's how they should be bought, in my opinion.
Yeah, they represent something like an achievement, basically.
Yeah, not just because it's cool, you know, or you think it's cool.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I'm glad, because I do feel like probably people listening will probably veering off on, we're thinking that materialistic stuff is not cool, and maybe going down the certain route that some, you know, gurus will say, oh, you know, forget about that, you've got to eat shit for all your life and all that kind of crap. No, do you know what? Nice things make you happy, but they have to make you happy, rather than you know, just thinking, oh, I want to impress somebody else. If they are just impressed by the fact that you've got a Rolex watch on, they're probably not the kind of person that you want to be, you know, spending your time with anyway, because it's not you that they're interested in. It's the fact that you've got an expensive bit of metal right around your wrist, which there's never been something that's, you know, appealed to me from a personality point of view. So no,
I agree. But yeah, like I say, I think on the whole, material things can be good, but not if you're not doing it for yourself.